in a village where the river bends like a patient serpent, calm by day and whispering by night. The people say the river has always been there, before the first hut was built, before the first child cried into the world. Life here is simple, ruled by farming seasons and fishing tides, by sunrise prayers and sunset fires. And then she exists. You notice her the way everyone does, not suddenly, but inevitably. She walks through the village paths as if the earth softens beneath her feet. Her beauty is not loud, not demanding, yet it pulls every gaze without asking permission. Men pause mid-conversation when she passes. Women watch her with quiet curiosity, unable to decide whether to admire or fear what they see. Her skin holds the glow of morning water. Her eyes carry a depth that feels older than memory. When she smiles, it feels like the village exhales. You hear the whispers long before you understand them. She must be blessed. No woman should look like that. She doesn't age the way others do. Men fall in love with her easily, too easily. They offer gifts. Woven cloth, fresh fish, carved wood. Some speak of marriage, of children, of building a home near the river so she never has to walk far for water. She accepts kindness but never promises. You notice something else. She listens more than she speaks. When laughter fills the air, hers is always softer, like she is careful not to disturb something unseen. When music plays, her eyes drift toward the river, not the drums. The children love her most. They say she smells like rain. When she touches their hair, fevers break. When she sings, even crying babies fall silent. Yet for all the love she receives, she remains untethered. She never stays too long in one place. She never allows herself to belong fully. And though the village adores her, there is an unspoken truth resting in every heart. She feels like a guest who was never meant to stay. At night, when the fires die and the village sleeps, you sometimes hear the river change its tone. The water grows restless, murmuring in a language older than words. And somehow, deep inside, you know, the village does not love her alone. The river does too. You begin to notice her patterns the way one notices a shadow that never quite behaves as it should. She is always gone before sunset. No matter how lively the evening is, no matter how warm the laughter, how inviting the firelight, she leaves. When the sky starts to bleed orange and purple, she rises quietly, offers a soft smile, and walks away as if called by something only she can hear. You watch her avoid the river at night. By day, she can walk beside it freely. She washes her hands in its shallows, lets the water slide between her fingers, even hums softly as the current brushes her ankles. But when darkness approaches, she keeps her distance. She takes longer routes home. She crosses the village with quick, careful steps, eyes lowered whenever the river murmurs too loudly. It is as if the water changes after sunset. And so does she. No one ever knows where she sleeps. Some nights, she rests in an ant's hut. Other nights, a neighbor swears she offered her shelter. By morning, she is always gone before anyone wakes, her sleeping place left cold, her presence fading like a dream that refuses to be held. You start to realize something unsettling. She has no home. The elders notice first. They are the keepers of old stories, the ones who remember floods that came without rain and fish that vanished for years. They watch her with eyes sharpened by time. When she passes, their conversations pause. When she leaves at sunset, their gazes follow her longer than necessary. They say nothing, no warnings, no questions, no accusations. But silence can be louder than words. At council gatherings, you see them exchange glances when her name is mentioned. One elder tightens his grip on his staff. Another murmurs prayers under her breath. They speak of crops, of borders, of festivals, but never of her. As if naming her truth might awaken something sleeping beneath the water. And slowly, you understand that her habits are not fear. They are rules. Rules learned long before she ever stepped into the village. Rules meant to protect both her and everyone who dares to love her. Yet love does not listen to rules. And neither does destiny. You start to feel it long before you can explain it. The river is not just water. It watches. By day, it looks harmless, wide, slow-moving, reflecting the sky like a mirror trying to remember itself. But when she walks near it, everything changes. The surface tightens, as though the water is holding its breath. The current shifts direction, not with the land, but with her steps. You see it happen again and again. When she kneels by the bank, fish gather in impossible numbers, their silver bodies circling one another in perfect harmony. Nets cast by fishermen nearby come back heavy when she is present, and empty when she is not. Some men swear the fish refuse to bite unless she is close, as though the river itself decides when to provide. Sometimes, just before dusk, the water glows. Not bright, never enough to alarm, but softly, like moonlight trapped beneath the surface. Children gasp when they see it, pointing excitedly, and she always turns away, her expression tightening, her fingers curling as if she feels pain rather than wonder. The currents bend for her. Where the river should push forward, it slows. Where it should slow, it pulls. Leaves dropped into the water drift toward her feet instead of away. Ripples follow her reflection even when she stands still. You begin to understand something unsettling. The river listens to her. And worse, it answers. On days when she is joyful, the water runs clear and gentle. On days when she is troubled, clouds gather without warning, and the river darkens, churning softly as if sharing her unrest. Others begin to notice too. Women whisper prayers before fetching water. Fishermen hesitate before casting their nets. Mothers pull children back from the bank when she approaches, not out of fear of her, but fear of what follows her. Yet the river never harms her. No matter how wild it becomes, its edge never crosses her feet unless she allows it. Waves lap at her ankles like a familiar greeting. Foam curls toward her skin and retreats again, obedient and reverent. It becomes clear then, this is not coincidence. This is not blessing. This is a bond, ancient, unspoken, and dangerously alive, and though the village continues to pretend, deep down you know the truth is rising, slowly, patiently, just like the river itself. You notice him because he does not look at her the way the others do. Most men watch her with hunger, with awe, with desire that burns fast and loud. But he watches her quietly, as if he is afraid to frighten her away. When she speaks, he listens. When she laughs, he smiles, not because of her beauty, but because the sound feels like something rare he never wants to lose. He loves her beyond how she looks. He learns the small things, the way her eyes darken when the sky is heavy with rain, the way her fingers twitch when the river grows restless, the way she grows distant at sunset. He does not ask for much. Just her company, just her presence, just time, and slowly, against all the rules she lives by, she lets him closer. He speaks of marriage, not in grand speeches, but in quiet plans. A small home, a life rooted in the village. Children who would learn to swim in the river, just as generations before them had. He talks about permanence, about staying, about choosing each other every morning. Each word is a door she knows she must not open. You see the fear in her eyes when he speaks of the future. Not fear of him, but fear of what loving him might cost. She pulls away when his touch lingers. She grows silent when he dreams aloud. One evening, as the sun dips low and the river begins to murmur, she finally warns him. Her voice is calm, but her hands tremble. You should not love me, she says. There are things you do not understand. He laughs softly, thinking it is modesty or fear. He promises patience. He promises safety. He promises that love can overcome anything. She looks at him then, not as a woman being courted, but as someone already grieving. If you stay, she whispers, you will lose more than your heart. She offers no explanation, and that is what makes it dangerous. Because love does not turn back from mysteries. It leans into them. It believes itself stronger than fate, wiser than warnings, older than memory. As his devotion deepens, the river grows restless. The nights grow heavier, the water speaks louder, and destiny, long patient, begins to tighten its grip. Love makes him reckless. After too many unanswered questions, after too many nights watching her disappear before sunset, he follows her. You feel the tension of that evening, the sky heavy, the air unusually still. She walks faster than usual, her steps urgent, her shoulders tight. She does not notice him at first, not until the village fades behind her and the path narrows toward the riverbank. He hides among the trees. From there, he sees her stop at the water's edge. The moon has not yet risen, but the river glows faintly, as if it has been waiting. She kneels, pressing her palm to the surface, and for the first time, he hears her speak to it. Not prayers, not songs, conversation. Her voice is low, intimate, filled with emotion she has never shown any human. She speaks of fear, of longing, of the weight of pretending to be something she is not. Her words ripple across the water, and the river responds, not in sound, but in movement. The current stills, the surface lifts gently toward her hand, cradling her touch like a parent soothing a child. The water glows brighter, pulsing softly in rhythm with her breath. Then he sees her reflection. It does not move when she does. Her mirrored face lingers too long, eyes shining with something ancient. For a moment, just a moment, her reflection smiles when she does not. The water around it darkens, deepens, as if revealing another form beneath the surface. His heart stutters. The river curls protectively around her legs, never pulling, never threatening, only guarding. Waves rise and fall like a slow, patient heartbeat. If the river could speak, he realizes, this is how it would look when it listens. Like a father. And then it happens. The water shifts suddenly, sharply, sending a ripple toward the trees where he hides. The river knows he is there. She stiffens. Her head snaps up, eyes wide, not afraid, but resigned. She does not turn to look at him. She does not need to. Go, she whispers to the water. The glow fades. The river obeys. When he finally steps forward, trembling, she stands between him and the river as if shielding him from something far worse than discovery. Her silence confirms what he already knows. She was never just a woman. And the truth, long buried beneath flowing water, has begun to rise. The elders speak only when the river demands it. They gather in the oldest hut, where the walls smell of smoke and time, where stories older than the village itself sleep in dust and silence. You sit among the others, heart heavy, knowing that once these words are spoken, nothing will ever return to the way it was. The oldest elder begins. His voice is rough, like stones dragged along a riverbed. There was a time, he says, when the river walked among us. Murmurs ripple through the room. He tells of an ancient pact, made when the village was young and survival depended entirely on the water. In those days, the river god sent his daughter to live among humans, not as a ruler, not as a weapon, but as a witness. She was meant to learn humanity, to observe kindness and cruelty, to understand love, but never touch it. She was to remain untouched herself. The elder's eyes darken as he continues. But humans are not creatures of restraint. They loved her beauty. They welcomed her warmth. They offered her homes, names, futures. And she, lonely and curious, stayed longer than she should have. She forgot, the elder says softly, what she was. The legend speaks of a rule written not in words, but in consequence. A river daughter must never love a human. A human must never claim her. For love binds, and binding what belongs to the river drags the river into the human world, where it becomes rage, flood, and death. You learn then the price of disobedience. When the boundary is broken, the river god does not negotiate. He does not warn twice. He reclaims what is his, and washes away everything standing in the way. The storms, the drownings, the rising waters, they are not punishments, they are corrections. The elder's voice drops to a whisper. The prophecy says the river daughter must return before the river is forced to take her back. Silence fills the room. Everyone understands what that means. If she chooses love, the village will drown. If she returns to the river, she will lose her humanity forever. Fate has already chosen its path. Now, only sacrifice can decide how much will be lost. She does not wait for the elders to summon her. That night, as the river roars louder than it ever has, she steps into the center of the village on her own. The wind pulls at her hair, the sky heavy with storm clouds, the river glowing faintly in the distance like an open eye that never blinks. You can feel it then. This is goodbye. She looks at the people who raised her, protected her, loved her without knowing what she was. Her voice, when she speaks, carries the weight of two worlds. I was not born as you were, she says. The words fall like stones. She tells the truth slowly, carefully, as if afraid the village itself might break under it. She was born of water and spirit, shaped by the river long before she learned to walk on land. The river god is not just her creator, he is her blood, her law, her beginning. She was sent to learn humans. To watch how they love, how they hurt, how they hope. She was never meant to join them. No family, no home, no future written in human years. Her eyes finally find his. The man who loved her too much. Her voice trembles then, and the river answers with a low, aching rumble. My heart betrayed my purpose, she whispers. I learned love by feeling it. She speaks of the nights she left before sunset, not because she feared the dark, but because the river called her more strongly then. Of the way she moved from home to home, afraid that staying would root her too deeply into a world she was never meant to claim. I tried to obey, she says, tears shining like water on her cheeks. But love is louder than destiny. The wind rises. The river swells. She bows her head, shame and sorrow folding into her posture. For loving you, she says, her voice breaking, I have brought death to your door. No one speaks, because there is nothing left to deny. She is not a woman cursed by the river. She is the river's child, and love has made her human enough to suffer. He cannot let her go. Not now, not after all he has seen, all he has felt. He steps forward, chest heavy, eyes fixed on hers, heart pounding like the river in flood. The villagers watch in silence, the wind whipping around them, the storm above answering the tension that hangs in the air. Stay, he says, voice firm, trembling with desperation. I do not care what you are. I do not care what they say. I love you, and I will not watch you vanish. She shakes her head slowly, sorrow etched in every line of her face. You do not understand, she whispers. This is not love you can protect me from. This is something older than any human heart. The river, my father, he will not allow it. But he does not step back. He moves closer to the river's edge, standing between her and the glowing water. I do not care if the river is your father. I do not care if it can destroy me. I will fight for you. The river answers. It rises like a living thing, churning violently. Waves crash against the bank, flooding the ground beneath their feet. Lightning splits the sky, illuminating the villagers' terrified faces. Water sprays into the air as if the river itself were reaching for him. The river speaks in a language of force, power, and eternity. Rocks shift, trees bend, currents twist impossibly. The river is alive, older than the man, older than the village, older than any love that dares to defy it. He fights with courage, but courage alone cannot match the fury of an immortal god. His hands grasp hers, pleading. We can be together. We can find a way. She clutches his face gently, shaking her head. There is no way. Love cannot conquer blood. Not mine. Not the river's. You cannot fight this. You will not win. The river hisses, a violent roar that shakes the earth. Its waves strike at the edge of the village, sweeping away boats, flooding fields, bending trees like reeds. Every footstep of defiance is met with the water's cold, undeniable power. Even his love, fierce, true, unyielding, is small against the ancient force of the river god. And yet, for a fleeting moment, as he holds her one last time, he feels it. The bond between her and the water, immense, eternal, untouchable, pulls at him, whispers through him, reminding him that he is a human who dared to challenge the divine. He steps back, broken but alive, his chest heaving, tears falling freely. She turns toward the river, her face pale but resolved. The storm does not stop, the water continues to rise, and the man finally understands. Some love is never meant to survive. Some hearts are never meant to belong to humans. And in that truth lies both the sorrow and the beauty of the river's daughter. The night arrives heavy and unrelenting. Rain falls in sheets thicker than anyone has seen before, drumming against rooftops, pounding the fields, turning the river into a living, roaring beast. The village trembles under its fury. Children cry, fires are drowned, animals flee into the forests. The water rises, inch by inch, consuming the edges of the village like a hand slowly closing around the land. And in the center of it all, she stands. Lily, the river daughter, the girl who never truly belonged. A strange calm surrounds her, even as the world around her floods and trembles. The water glows brighter than moonlight, spiraling and churning like a crown of liquid silver. Then she hears it, a voice that resonates deep within her bones, a voice that is older than mountains and softer than the mist. It is the river, it is her father. Lily, the voice calls, rolling over her name like waves crashing. Return, you belong to me, you must come. Her heart aches. She glances back at the village, at the man who loves her beyond reason, at the people who fear and adore her in equal measure. The rain lashes her face, mingling with tears. She knows the choice she must make. To stay means life for her is stolen, yes, but more importantly, it means death for those who have loved her. The river's fury will not be stopped by human pleas or mortal courage. If she resists, the waters will not retreat. Fields will drown, homes will vanish, and the villagers, innocent as they are, will perish. Her chest tightens. Her fingers curl into the wet earth. She feels every heartbeat of the river, every pulse of water beneath her feet, every whisper of warning in the wind. She begins, her voice breaking. She turns to the man. I never wanted to hurt you. I never wanted to bring this upon them, upon you. But I cannot stay, not if I wish them to live. The man grabs her hands, desperate. There has to be another way. There must. Her eyes meet his, shining with the weight of worlds he cannot touch. There is no other way, she says softly, almost tenderly. Some things are not meant for humans. Some love cannot defy what is eternal. The river surges again, silver waves climbing the banks, spilling into the streets. Houses tremble, livestock flee, and the villagers scream. She steps forward, the water bending to her, lifting her almost gently, wrapping around her as if it were welcoming her home. One last glance at the human world, one last heartbeat shared with the man who loved her too much, and then she surrenders. The water rises, and she is gone, taken by the river she has always belonged to. The storm calms instantly after she disappears, leaving the village soaked, shaken, but alive. The fields are muddy, the homes battered, but no life is lost. The villagers stare at the river in awe, understanding at last, the girl they loved was never theirs to keep. She was a bridge between worlds, a fleeting miracle, and now, the river has reclaimed its child. And somewhere beneath the silver waves, Lily floats, sorrowful but serene, bound forever to the river, her heart carrying the memory of humans, of love, and of a life she could never truly claim. She steps forward slowly, each foot sinking into the cool, churning water. The river rises to meet her, not as a threat, but as a homecoming. It coils gently around her legs, lifting her almost effortlessly, cradling her as though it had been waiting for this moment her entire life. The storm that had battered the village still rages for a moment longer, but then, as if sensing her surrender, the waters begin to calm. The wind softens. The rain eases. Waves retreat from the streets and homes, leaving behind a quiet, trembling peace. The villagers watch from the edge, hearts in their throats, too stunned to speak. And he stands frozen, helpless, unable to reach her, unable to stop her. His hands shake, tears streaking down his face, his voice caught somewhere between a plea and a sob. Lily, he whispers, voice cracking. Don't go. She turns to look at him one last time. Her eyes, shimmering like moonlight on water, hold all the sorrow and love she cannot give. She shakes her head, softly, almost tenderly. This is not the end, she says. But it is the only way. Her body begins to dissolve into the river's embrace, skin turning silver, hair flowing into liquid strands of light. The water swirls, reflecting her face, her form, her essence, and then she is gone, fully one with the river, leaving behind only the memory of her presence. He falls to his knees, powerless, feeling the weight of a love that could not withstand the tide of fate. The river whispers over him, soft and mournful, as though consoling him while reminding him of its authority. The village breathes again, alive but forever changed. The man stares at the water long after the last ripple fades, knowing that some hearts are never meant to stay, and some loves are only glimpses of eternity. The river has reclaimed its daughter. And with her departure, a profound stillness settles over the land, a mixture of relief, grief, and awe. The storm passed, but the village was never the same. Fields that once yielded golden harvests were left scarred and waterlogged. Homes that survived bore the memory of the flood and broken fences and muddy floors. Life returned, but it was quieter now, cautious, measured, as if every heartbeat carried the memory of the river's wrath. No one dared settle near the river again. Its calm surface by day belied the power beneath, and the villagers remembered too well what happened when love trespassed against forces older than their understanding. Parents warned children not to linger by the banks, elders spoke in hushed tones of the girl who came from the river, and travelers passing through noticed the absence of boats and fishing nets. Her story became a warning. A tale told at firesides to remind the young that some beauty is too powerful to claim, some love too dangerous to hold. They spoke her name with reverence and fear, Lily, the river's daughter. And yet, on quiet nights, when the moon hangs full and silver in the sky, some villagers claim to see her. Not fully human, not fully water, she drifts across the river's surface, a reflection of what once walked among them. She smiles softly, a fleeting gesture of remembrance. Sometimes she sings, a melody that echoes the river's voice, reminding all who hear that some spirits never truly leave. The village survived, but it carried her story in every whispered warning, every glance at the water, every cautious step near the riverbank. Lily became legend, immortalized not in statues or carvings, but in the memory of a people who loved what they could never keep. Her presence lingers, quiet and eternal, a reminder of love, loss, and the fragile line between the human world and the divine. The river waits, and so does she. And so, the story of Lily lingers, not just in the river, not just in the village, but in the hearts of all who remember. Some love is not meant to last. It may burn brightly, it may consume every thought and desire, but even the fiercest love can be fragile when measured against eternity. Some beauty is borrowed, it shines like sunlight on water, breathtaking and fleeting, and cannot be possessed, tamed, or held forever. To cling too tightly is to risk losing more than you ever imagined. Not everything that comes to humans belongs to them. The world, both seen and unseen, has its own laws, its own owners, its own delicate balance. The river taught the village the truth. To love recklessly is to flirt with forces that surpass comprehension. Respect the unseen, respect the ancient, respect the boundaries that lie between worlds. For sometimes, the cost of ignorance is far greater than any heart can endure. And in the quiet nights, when the moon reflects silver on the river's surface, you may still see Lily. She reminds you of the power of what cannot be held, the grace of what cannot be possessed, and the wisdom of living in harmony with what you cannot control. The river flows eternal, its daughter is part of it now, and its lesson flows through all who dare to love what is not theirs.